Welcome to the City Show. Pat O'Melia here. Our special edition today is Meeting with the Mayor. So when we come back from break, we're going to be talking with the Jersey City Mayor, Steve Fulop. Things we'll be talking about. He just had a new daughter. We're going to talk about Child 1 versus Child 2. COVID-19, that is just dominating everything right now. Jersey Journal just did an editorial. I'll be asking the mayor about that. Board of Education, $300 million budget gap, which will affect us all if that stays. President Biden and the Dems, the Kushner settlement. I don't know if we'll get to all this, but we will do our best. We're going to break for commercial. We'll be right back. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, Jersey City. Hudson County's only monument maker, serving all faiths and cemeteries. Design studio and large inventory on site. Cemetery inscriptions and custom orders welcome. Burns Brothers Memorials, Monuments, and Markers, 787 Tunley Avenue, just south of Secaucus Road. Craftsmanship that will last for all eternity. Burns Brothers, Jersey City, Albert H. Hopper, North Arlington. Visit us on the net. Consumer Carpets, 3408 Kennedy Boulevard in the Jersey City Heights. Your one-stop store for residential and commercial floor treatments. Carpeting, linoleum, tiles, laminates, hardwood floors, area rugs, remnants. All major brands, all in stock. Free estimates, same-day installation. Consumer Carpets, it's savings, selection, installation. Credit cards and debit cards accepted. Financing available. Consumer Carpets, price to fit your budget, installation to fit your schedule. On the net at consumercarpets.com. Consumer Carpets, Jersey City, 201-792-2712. We're back. City Show, special edition, meeting with the mayor and the mayor of Jersey City, Stephen Fulop. Mayor, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Pat.
Before we get to all the other stuff we're talking about that affects the city, you just had a new daughter.
Yeah.
Tell me, what's the difference between Child 1 and Child 2?
Well, it's really early on Child 2, so hard to really get a feel for personality. But, so far it has been easier with Child 2 than it has been with Child 1 with regards to sleeping and kind of the program overall. Maybe it's that we know more, or maybe it's the child is a little bit more well-behaved. Who knows? But I'll tell you the difference in personality in about a year.
Are you and your wife reacting any differently? Are you less cautious with baby number 2?
I think that's normal, right? I think that most people are less cautious.
If you had my daughter Gina in here, she'll tell you there's a huge difference between Child 1 and Child 2.
I think by and large, people are more cautious with Child 1 just because they don't know anything. And then once you get into Child 2, you're a little bit more comfortable with the fact that they don't break so easily. And, that crying isn't necessarily a bad thing. And you get more comfortable in the routines that you have to do as a parent. So I feel like Jacqueline and I are doing that, and this has been so far a better experience or an easier experience than Child 1.
An experience, that's it. You're an experienced parent now.
I mean, I guess you could classify it as experience in some degree.
How does JJ get along with his new sister?
I mean, there's jealousy there, so it's been a little bit of an adjustment period, as you could expect. I mean, he was in charge of the house, so to speak, a month ago, and now he has this, other person there that, we're holding and taking care of. And clearly, there is more jealousy, and, we're getting guidance on how best to handle that as parents that have never dealt with that before. So, a lot of your viewers and a lot of people we know obviously have gone through that. This is nothing new, but it definitely is a change in behavior that we're certainly seeing rooted in jealousy. And the thing about my daughter, Stasha, she's not going anywhere. She's part of the family. So he's got to get used to her. He's got no choice in the matter.
Well, so, someday he'll be the protector, the big brother.
Correct. At some point, that'll become a thing where they're very, very close, but it'll take some time.
Now, you got all the furniture already.
Yeah, everything's done. We have, my wife takes a lot of pride in setting up these nurseries, and they look great. Each of them have like a different feel and personality to it. So yeah, we're all set on all that front. I mean, it's a big commitment. One thing that my wife and I talk about a lot is that, we have a big support system here with family and friends in Jersey City, and we are fortunate to be blessed with like financial resources to have some flexibility. And we talk a lot about like single parents that don't have those resources, because until you're in it with 1 or 2 or 5 children, you don't realize how hard it is. And it is really unbelievable to think about how some parents, certainly even in the pandemic now, are able to kind of deal and manage with that situation in a productive way. I mean, really hats go off to them, because it is so difficult to do, and you don't appreciate it until you're actually in the thick of it.
You really appreciate the single parent, that mom with 2 or 3 kids.
Yeah, I mean, look, with that has limited resources, that has to work a job, manage
a job. Usually they're working 2
multiple jobs, managing the children and their education and the pandemic situation. Yeah, it's really unbelievable, and I don't think they get enough credit for the work that they do.
How do you balance the time now? You're mayor of Jersey City, it's 24/7,
Yeah.
365.
I mean, the last month, I've had a little bit of a lighter schedule, and so I did take family leaves. Jersey City put in place a really aggressive family leave program, one of the most aggressive in the state of New Jersey, and I did take advantage of it, and we encourage all of our employees to take advantage of it. And so that was part of it. And then, with the pandemic and COVID, a lot of the meetings are being done via Zoom. And that's actually helpful, because it allows me to be at home or more present at the same time. So, I'm in and out of City Hall, and I'm lucky that I work not too far from where I live. So it allows me to manage it a little bit.
When did you take a leave? I didn't notice the day you
Yeah,
missed.
you probably didn't notice, because it wasn't a formal leave, but it certainly was a lighter schedule for 2 weeks or so. And 2 weeks isn't a long time, but the nature of the city, there's always something happening, and there's not a lot of leeway where you can just check out. So a lighter schedule for me was something that I appreciated, and that's enough for me.
Well, you control the schedule. You can.
I do, but you know what? If the city's a complicated ecosystem, and there's constantly a lot of changing, and constantly a lot of things happening, and constantly crises that you have to deal with, and you can't neglect those. That's the job that I signed up for, and I appreciate it. I love the job. So I'm not looking to say I'm going to totally check out of any of that stuff. So I've tried to prioritize and use my time a little bit better in light of the family situation. But I certainly, even though I control my schedule, I haven't really checked out of anything.
Is Jackie back to work? Is she going to take an extended leave?
She is still on a leave. She's more home. And goes back to the clinics and checks on them periodically. But for the most part, she's been home with the babies.
Well, it's good to be the boss when you can do that, and you have
Correct.
a good staff.
So it goes back to the point that we're blessed and have some flexibility, and people that don't have that flexibility have tremendous hardship, and I don't think people realize that until you experience it in some way.
So you're going to have another one? When's baby 3?
What,
you have a plan? How many children?
I love kids, so whatever we're blessed with, I'll take. And hopefully it's more than 2, but ultimately it's a decision that I think Jacqueline drives more than I drive.
Well, we had the 2, and that was it for us. All I asked was for healthy. We got healthy.
I do feel the same way. I'd love to have more, but if it's 2, I feel blessed that I have 2 healthy children.
Well, you got the set. You got the boy and the girl.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to break for commercial. You're watching Meeting with the Mayor. Mayor Steve Fulop is our guest. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Good Friend Self Storage in North Bergen, New Jersey is a fully climate-controlled facility equipped with state-of-the-art security, packing supplies, a Refer a Friend program, and multiple loading docks convenient for commercial use. Located just off of Route 3 at 4301 Tunnelly Avenue, Route 1 and 9. Call 201-867-2444 or visit us on the web today. Good Friend Self Storage. Let us be your good friend.
The Jersey City Medical Center. You know it for its award-winning, life-saving ambulance service. It's also your health hub, with health and wellness locations staffed with certified professionals all through Hudson County. The Jersey City Medical Center, here to help you with your healthy, here when you need us the most. The Jersey City Medical Center. Visit us on the net to learn more. Jersey City Medical Center, Robert Wood Johnson, Barnabas Health Facility. Let's be healthy together. We're back. Pat O'Melia here, meeting with the mayor, Mayor Stephen Fulop of Jersey City there. When COVID first hit back in March, you were pretty much the out front of everything. You were closing down the malls. You were taking all the steps long before the governor did.
Yeah.
They probably followed your lead.
Correct.
They may not have admitted in Trenton, but they followed your lead. And also, I understand you had advice from Amir Siad. He was giving you some advice during
I would ask. I mean, we spoke to the medical center a lot, and we communicate with a lot of the doctors in the area and health experts. So, where we could garner more input and insight on how best to deal with this, we would obviously take that.
Oh, he's working in the studio now. They're co-hosting, him and his sister,
Yeah.
Hudson Health. So we were talking about how it went in March and April. Do you see it going that way again, as bad as it was in March and April?
I mean, it's hard to tell. Most of the experts that you see on TV say that it will. We are certainly seeing an increase in Jersey City, a significant increase, mind you, but it's nowhere near the situation that was in April or May of earlier this year. So to put that in perspective a little bit, we've had 5 fatalities in November. There was a point where we were seeing 30 to 40 fatalities a day in April or May. So it's a very, very different situation. Now, that's not to say it can't get worse, but when we speak to the medical center and Christ Hospital, the fatalities, the ventilator usage, even the hospitalization rate is much lower than what it was trending in April or May. And it also looks like that the number and the types of people that are being infected now skew younger than it did earlier in the year. So it seems like it's a little bit of a different feel, but it's impossible to predict the future.
The governor's closing indoor dining and
I don't
alcohol.
know. He's not closing. Did he close that today?
There's no indoor dining after 10 o'clock.
Oh,
and
okay.
alcohol.
Yeah.
You and I both have a question about that because COVID doesn't just come out at night. What kind of impact is that going to have to us? Our small businesses are on the edge now. I'm one of them. We're on the edge.
Yeah. So we've been reluctant as a city to implement arbitrary curfews and policies that aren't rooted in clear, demonstrated progress from what we've seen in March or April. Now, that's not to say that perhaps it ends up being a situation where indoor dining is something that needs to close down entirely, right? If the governor made that decision based on the data that he has, and he says that indoor dining is not permitted, of course we're going to support that. The problem that I had up to now is when you're arbitrarily selecting time. And, you could take a step back and say to yourself, why is it more safe to watch football at 3 p.m. on a Sunday in a bar or restaurant that's fairly crowded versus being in that same bar or restaurant on a Tuesday night at 11 p.m. when it's less crowded? To me, and I think to most people, would say it's more dangerous on the Sunday, but that's today permitted, while the 11 p.m. in an uncrowded situation is not permitted. So I just think that you need a uniform approach, and we would be supportive of that. And that's kind of what I've been vocal about.
Especially with some of the bars, you take Monday night, Sunday night, and Thursday night, you got the late football games. You're kicking these people out at 12, and those games are still going.
That's the business component of them. I was talking more from the health standpoint. On the business component of that, these businesses are on the brink of
bad shape. Yep.
Of not being able to survive. And every decision that government makes at this point is going to have huge ramifications. And so we need to be really mindful and cautious of making decisions that ultimately will do more harm than good. So today we have a situation where if you further tighten restrictions on businesses, you're likely to see two issues. You're likely to see more unemployment, right, which ultimately is problematic of course, especially around the holidays, and then mental health issues also. You know, it's grayer outside, it's darker outside.
Depression.
People can't walk like they did for in the summertime when restrictions were in there. And yeah, people get depressed, and you see all sorts of other medical issues surface as a result of that. So I think that we just need to be really careful in the decisions that we make.
They just touched base on that, Dr. Sayad's brother and sister, about the depression aspect of it.
Yeah, it's very real.
We're going to break for commercial in a couple of minutes. I assume you're following what your buddy Russ Baraka is doing in
Yeah, I
Newark
talk to
with
him all the time.
Urban and
Yes.
West Orange and Orange.
Yeah.
That they're possibly going to close down for a
Yep.
week after Thanksgiving, but we'll let the mayor answer that after we come back from commercial. You're watching The City Show, meeting with the mayor. We'll be right back.
Newport, the luxury waterfront community on the Hudson River, offers the quality of life you deserve in 10 high-rise rental towers with amenities such as the on-site Newport Path subway, light rail and ferry service, Newport Town Square, 3 playgrounds, dog run, upscale restaurants, retail giants like Sears, JCPenney, Macy's, and Target. Morton Williams Supermarket is just outside your front door. A health and fitness club, spa, skating rink, and medical facilities are also on site. NewportNJ.com. Enjoy the New York skyline from Newport Town Square. Manhattan is just one path stop away or quick ride through the Holland Tunnel. Nursery and private elementary schools all on site. 12-screen movie theater at the Newport Center Mall. Want to visit Newport? Stay at the Westin or Marriott Hotel. Go to NewportNJ.com for details. Newport has luxurious towers, great restaurants, shopping, New York skyline views, schools, playgrounds, a marina and yacht club, gym, spa, fine wine, fine living. It's incredible. It's you. NewportNJ.com. Newport, live like you want.
We're back. City Show, Pat O'Melia here, Mayor of Jersey City, Stephen Fulop there. Any chance you're going to join Russ over there in closing down Newark,
No.
Jersey
No.
City?
I mean,
I think that's super extreme what they're talking about.
I mean, so I know the mayor of Irvington, the mayor of Newark, the mayor of Orange very, very well, right? And then they do a terrific job. And I think the public needs to recognize that, you know, each municipality has a little bit of a different feel to the residents, a different demographic, different economic bases, so to speak, different age bases, so to speak, different vulnerabilities.
You got all that in Jersey City.
You got all of that in Jersey City, but Jersey City is maybe more diverse on that front. So you do have some areas that are wealthier and some areas that are poorer. You have older, you have more immigrants here, a lot of different situations for each city. And each mayor needs to make a decision that they think is best for their respective city. So I'm not going to criticize anything on that front. With regards to Jersey City specifically, you know, we're very, very much linked with New York City with regards to transit and employment, and where people go ultimately, whether it be restaurants or entertainment. And I think that any decision that we make with regards to curfews or restrictions or shutdowns needs to be done on a very, very large regional basis. So it couldn't just be Hoboken, Bayonne, and Jersey City making a decision. It really needs to be the state of New Jersey or the state of New Jersey in conjunction with Pennsylvania and New York. In order to make sure that you're really tightening people's ability to just go the next door to another municipality and get less restrictions, which ultimately will just spread the virus as it was before.
Well, there's light at the end of the tunnel with 2 vaccines that are out. For that matter, I called Pfizer myself yesterday and offered to volunteer. I will ride down to Madison, New Jersey. You can shoot me up. I'll be happy to be the first one in the line. Are you preparing? Because you got the rapid and mobile testing gearing up now.
Yep.
Are you preparing to distribute the vaccines? Is the city going to be responsible for that?
So we recently, this week, got the plans from the state on how the vaccine will be disseminated. The plan is a little bit light in detail, so to speak, so I think we need more clarity from the state. And as it feels and looks today, there's a lot of questions still. You know, one of the 2 vaccines is a 2-shot vaccine, so meaning you get it and then you got to get a subsequent shot several weeks later. Very, very hard to track people in Jersey City with mobility and to expect people to come back a second time in a reliable fashion. And then there's also concerns around storing some of those where they need to be significantly sub-freezing in order to be safely stored, and who has the resources to do that. And the state hasn't indicated which vaccine we're going to have access to. So we have a lot of questions still. We've gotten the information, we're processing it, but we still have a lot of questions.
Jersey Journal did an editorial a couple of days ago concerning the 7-2 dance, and you and I were texting back and forth, where they're concerned that Youssef may become a rubber stamp.
No,
Do you
I
have
think
an
it-
issue
look,
with the
let me
7-2?
just say it's not a fair characterization
No,
by
I didn't
the
think so
by
either.
the by the Jersey Journal at all, and for two reasons. Number one is, if you think about Councilman Rolando Lavaro, who they classified as an independent, I mean, the reality is he ran on our ticket and our coattails twice. Okay, and hard to say that that's an independently elected individual. Secondly, I would say with regard to Youssef, I mean, there's a democratic process, and Youssef ran a campaign, and the public overwhelmingly said that they wanted him to be in that seat and that they supported him, and he was very clear that he and I have a close working relationship. And so the Jersey Journal, I think, should do a better job of respecting also the opinions of the public in this situation, whereas there is a democratic process. And when and the public said via that vote for the councilman of Ward D that we're supportive of the actions that you've taken up till now, which are the things that the Jersey Journal criticized. But the public clearly on November 3rd said that they disagreed with the Jersey Journal on that. So I don't think that editorial was fair. And I think that most people would say that the city is moving in a positive direction overall.
Well, they even brought up the late Michael Youn. Now, Mike and you had issues on some initiatives, but if I'm not mistaken, didn't Michael Youn vote along with you about 95% of the time?
So Councilman Youn and I had a terrific working relationship over the last 2 years, and more than likely, he was going to run on our ticket when I ran for re-election. Councilman Youn and I had a lot of conversations around that. There was a mutual respect, I think, coming from different perspectives, but a mutual respect with regards to those positions. So, because we disagreed 5% of the time, again, I don't think it was a fair characterization of what that relationship was like.
Well, even Richie, well, worked with commercial Richie Borgiano has
yeah.
worked with you well. You're watching The City Show, meeting with the mayor. We'll be right back.
Stevens Jersey City Ford, located right off of NJ 440 North. Across the Hudson Mall is your one-stop for all your automotive needs. Check out Ford's latest models like the 2020 Ford Fusion with its stylish looks and hybrid options, or the unparalleled high-performance 2020 Ford Mustang. The 2020 Ford F-150 Raptor is ready for those rugged off-road terrains with trail control. Need a mid-sized truck for your towing and hauling? The 2020 Ford Ranger will deliver. The 2020 Ford Escape is a luxury SUV that was made for comfort and adventure on the go. Returning is Ford's legendary Bronco, which takes you back to the true meaning of off-roading. They are now available for pre-order in our showroom or on our website. Let us help you find your next vehicle. Stevens Jersey City Ford, 201-432-7272.
We're back. City Show, Pat O'Melia here, Mayor of Jersey City, Steve Fulop. You work well with pretty much all of the council.
Yeah.
Yeah, Richie, they used to call Mike and Richie the Nobies,
Yep.
the Nobie brothers. But you work along well with
Yeah.
Richie. Richie votes along with you around 95, 90, 96%
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
time.
Look, Councilman Bogiano and I have a very, very long relationship. I mean, decades and decades. And I have a lot of respect for him. And, he's been able to get elected in Ward C, even when we've run people in opposition to him twice. I've supported two different candidates.
Beloved there, yes.
And Rich has been elected. And at the same time, Rich has been voting with us. So it seems so distorted, going back to that Jersey Journal editorial, that they would call an individual who was elected twice independently, they would call him a rubber stamp, while calling people that ran with us and that we helped get elected as independents, right? So again, I think the public sees it for what that editorial is, and it's unfortunate that Jersey Journal would write something like that.
you're up for a re-election next
Yep.
year. You got most of your ticket together. What, you got like 3 spots open yet?
We're working on that. We have another at-large seat. We're obviously in discussions in Ward C at this point on what we're going to do, and then we're going to explore what we're going to do in Ward E.
Does
And,
COVID change how you run your campaign now?
Well, I think a lot of that is going to be determined by where we are a year from now, right, or 10 months from now. If the same rules are in place that the governor put in for this past election, how we approach it is obviously different. And then, we want some consistency on the city council because we feel like the city council has been able to move a lot of the important initiatives forward to solving some of the problems in the city. And they've been aggressive on that. And, where possible, I'd like to continue to work with them.
Well, next question is a big problem for you. The Jersey City Board of Education
Yeah.
says they're $300 million
Yeah.
short for 2021.
Look,
They just hit us with a 37% tax increase.
Yeah. I mean, our administration has been more supportive of the Board of Education financially than any administration in the history of Jersey City. What I am willing to do is find ways to be supportive. What I'm not willing to do is write a blank check into a nebulous budget where there's no clarity for the public on how dollars are being spent. So we've helped with lead remediation, with gas, with crossing guards, with garbage collection, millions of dollars. We're finding ways on the city side to build new schools without burdening taxpayers. But what I'm not willing to do is just say to them, here's a blank check that's going to hit the taxpayers, and you guys can do whatever you want with it and continue to make bad decisions and not show good results for schools. And so, look, I don't know if a lot of residents realize that I don't have direct oversight of the schools. It's an independently elected body, the Board of Education, and we have no input over their budget.
You may get the blame for it.
Well, we get the blame for it, unfortunately, but I'm trying my best to make sure that people understand that we don't have that ability to make those decisions. I wish that we were held accountable for it because I felt like we would be able to make more progress. But alas, that's not the system that we have today.
Well, you're pushing for affordable housing, what you're doing down on the
Yep.
Route 440, the ordinance you just
Yep.
passed through, the inclusionary zoning.
Yep.
You're not going to have affordable housing if we're getting beat over the head with the school tax. Again, 37% just now. 300 grand, 300 million? I don't
Yeah.
know what the percentage is on that. That's another, 40 maybe?
Oh, I mean, who knows? It's a massive increase.
What happens if they say we got to raise the taxes? What does
Look,
Mayor
I don't,
Fulop do?
I don't have the oversight of that, so I don't have the ability to stop that.
Do you
right?
go back to an appointed board?
I mean,
You were talking about it.
yeah, and I think that decision ultimately will be driven by the public sentiment and what the decisions the Board of Education make. But
There might be a different sentiment going into 2021.
it very well may.
All right, let's leave on this. Biden is going to be the president of the United States
Yes.
on January the 20th.
Yes.
The Dems possibly even take the Senate. See what happens in Georgia.
Yeah.
How does this affect Jersey City? Is it good for Jersey City?
I think it's
neutral?
good. I think it's good for Jersey City because there's going to be a larger emphasis on some of the urban areas that were neglected under the Trump administration. I think that there's going to be more of an emphasis on social services, more of an emphasis on housing and where we overlap on public housing and CDBG dollars and the help that we need for our nonprofit communities. So what we've seen historically is that Democratic administrations tend to understand the challenges that we have in urban areas a little bit better.
Well, I'm almost out of time. Next month, we'll see how this
Yeah.
moves forward and as we get into January. But you think it's a positive?
Yeah, I do.
You worried that the age of the president, real quick, is that a concern?
Is it a concern directly for me? I think it should be a concern for any American, but I think that the vice president is very capable. She has a lot of experience.
A lot of youth there. All right,
and
we're out of
we'll be
time,
okay.
Mayor.
Thank
You're
you.
watching The City Show, a special edition, meeting with the mayor. We do it once a month. Thank you, Mayor Fulop. You be good, you be safe. I'll talk to you later. Good night.